Oh, hello there everybody. I'm going to show you how to use I Am the Mighty Jungulator. So let's get it up and going and let's have a look. So I've opened up the application here and take a little bit of time to start up. And have we look here, we've already got a selection of samples in there. The samples come from this folder, so if I click here, I've now got a loop folder. Okay, and let's go back to the drums. Okay, if I want to change that, in here I've got a folder here called samples, and I've got those folders in here, so I can drop folders into this folder here called samples, or I can alternately just drop a folder on there and then it lists all the folders inside that folders and lets me choose them. Okay, so in order to choose a sample, we've got two choices. We can load in a sample by choosing it from the drop down menu, so I'm going to choose Bright Classic Jungle. And there we can go, sound straight in there. We can also press this button here, and this asks us to choose a sample anywhere on our computer. Anyway, it's going. Now, as we can see, it's a granular sampler, the Jungulator, so it's cut it up into 8 pieces. It's playing it at tempo 1, it's playing it at first octave, so we can start changing these around. If we have a listen to it, it's playing it into 8 pieces, and it's playing them in this order. If I change around the order, listen to how it changes. If I want to get it back to normal, hit panic. So I'll just try that again. So it's now playing the bits in reverse. Let's get it back to normal. I can change the amount of cuts. You can't really hear much, but that's because we haven't gone on to the other functions yet. So let's get it down to 8 cuts. I can change the pitch of it. So now it's more jungly. I can slow it down. Let's go down even slower by using these arrow buttons. Tempo slows down the rate it plays it back. So now we're getting gaps. And that's basically it. You granulise it and then you can change the speed of it. But that's in conjunction with lots of other functions. So for instance, loop plays the bit it's playing in a loop. So if I give it lots of cuts and then slow down the tempo because it's looping, it's giving a time stretch. That's with the loop off. Again, I'm going to panic it, and then I'm going to turn up the octave. Random randomises the pieces. Pitch changes the pitch of each one of those pieces. Put it back to 100, goes up higher. Backwards, place those pieces backwards. Going to put back random to 0. Let's put back to normal. Loop length shortens the piece, so I can do this stutter. We can loop that. We've just got an email. Let's put that back up to 100. Volume, volume, mute, mute. Put an effect on. Echo resonance. I can put on an echo. I've got a plate. And I can change the amount of the effect with this button here. Okay, direction changes the direction it plays in. So I can make it go backwards. And this button here puts it back to where it should be playing. Here we've got something that pans, so we can hear it panning around. Now we've got a couple of pans in here that are handy straight off that we can play around with. We can put a line so it goes between the points smoothly. We can speed up that process here. We can make it go random if we want, so it chooses a random spot. Or alternatively, we can take this off, stop it, and put in our own points for it to go to. So I'm going to mark that point there, I'm going to mark that point there, and I'm going to mark this point here. And now when I play, it plays just those 4, and obviously I can now put a line on that. Okay, so that's all your simple controls. Obviously you've got BPM here, and what it does for BPM, it speeds up the sample and slows it down rather than time stretching. Time stretching will be on a later version. Now, as we see here, we've now got a little sample playing over and over again. It's not doing much, but what I can do now is click one of these. So backwards brings up this. And if I have a look at which one here is backwards, it's this one here. And we've got a little sequencer. So every time I mark off a point in the sequence, it plays it backwards. And we can see this going along. And we can do things like this. We can tell that to choose a random spot each time, so it doesn't always do the backwards in the same spot. We can speed it up. We can change the grid to any grid number we want. But a nice other function here is if I take it off a random, this is random send. So it doesn't always send the backwards. And again, there's different behaviours here. So if we want to do, say, pitch, we want to give it a different pitch. We've got pitch here, so I can again turn this one on. And we can see now it's choosing a pitch variated to here. I can take that off. I can press panic. Goes back to normal. The panic's still on. Sorry, the backwards is still on. But I can do fancy things here like change the loop length automatically. And again, just play around with these, see what you can get. Another nice function here is I can load in. So if I take this off, press panic, get it back to normal. I can load another sample in here. We've got both of them going at once, but now if I go to mute, we've got a special mute function at the bottom here where it cuts to the next one. So if I want to do that thing where every last 4 beats goes over to the other sample, I can turn this on now. And I can put a random send on that, so don't always do it. And as you can see now, I'm starting to build up a little pattern. So what I want to do now is record that off and load it into something so I can put something else on top of it. So what I'm going to do is choose this folder here called first. I'm going to name my session and I'm going to call this one basic cut. And I'm going to press record. Now what the record does is it starts recording off on the first beat of the bar, just so it's a nice easy loop for us to use. And we can see this number here, it will count down, this will turn on when it's recording, and then when we finish recording we can turn it off. So I'm going to start recording now. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording, and now I'm going to turn these off. So I'm going to mute this one. Actually, I'm going to turn the volumes down, and now I'm going to go to this section called play. And if we have a look in this section play, it's now got my loop in here, which I can play back. Again, if I've got different folders, the same folder system works. I can drop a folder in there and go through lots of different folders. But I can now load this one in, and now we've got that loop in there. It's playing 8 steps of that loop, so I can give it 32 steps. And it's playing a lovely little loop there. Again, I can do other things, like I can speed it up. I can see the total length of my loop here. So this is the total length of the sound sample. This is the total length of the loop. I can offset that loop. I can put it through a pan like I did last time. I can put it through an effect unit like I did last time. I can do an esoteric timing space where I'm setting it up on a 30 bars, 30 beats. And what this now allows me to do is I can now go over to here, I can choose my loops folder, and I can load in a loop, and it's playing that. I'm going to give that lots of cuts. I'm going to put a bit of effects on that. And again, I can now record this off again. I don't have to name session anymore. If I press record now, start to record there, and it's still working with the other self-play effect I put on it. Now take this off. If I go back to my player folder, I can now see Basic Cut 1. It's named it for me automatically. I can change its name if I want to, but I don't need to. Now it's playing here. Give it a bit more cuts. And I can now start to build up little rhythmic tracks. Okay, so I'm going to turn that down, and it's just another couple of little things here. Again, if we're using a different sound card, want to go out to different sound card or whatever, we can click here, and we've got a whole section here where we can choose what sound cards we're going to use. If I had a different sound card in, I can remap the speakers, and that your basic Max MSP sound control panel. We can change all our effects here and play around with how much reverb we put on, which is the global effect over all the reverbs, what resonant frequencies we're filtering, all that sort of stuff there. And another nice little pitch is this here. So I'm telling it to play 1 bar. If I tell it to play 2 bars, we can see visually what's happening. It's now playing 2 bars. And I can change the order of this second one. I can give an esoteric count, so I'm going to say only count the first 3 steps. Seven. And of course it all keeps it in time. There you go, hope that all makes sense, and enjoy!